as we can. If at the end of the session we run out of time, we'll certainly respond to the people in kind, and also update our Q&A section of the website under the reopening. So this is a wee opportunity. What you do at home, what we do in school, impact each other in terms of how successful we're going to be as a community in providing particularly an in-person educational experience for our children. So with that, we look forward to partnering with you continued throughout the next couple of weeks to the start of school. I know you're anxious, want to hear questions answered and so on and so forth. So this is a wee opportunity to do that at the middle school level. So without further ado, I will turn over to our principal, maybe just say a quick hello. Shelley, turn it over to you. Thank you, Mrs. Summers. All yours.
Ready? Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Middlesex community, for joining us this afternoon. First, let me say that I am looking forward to working with you and your children as we navigate the return to school together. With me today is my administrative team, Mary, Dana, and Teresa, and together we have worked tirelessly throughout the summer to make this a plan whereby your students will feel safe, will be engaged, and will surely progress and advance in their learning. I will try to answer as many questions as I can. We don't have all the answers, but there's one thing of which I'm certain, that together, families, staff, administration, together with central office, can come up with those answers so that you feel very safe in sending your children back to us this fall. Okay. So I did send out a communication to you, giving you an overview of what things will look like when we return. I've taken some of that and put it on these slides just to refresh memories or for talking points. We will begin with our hybrid model. I think this is a really wonderful decision because it will give us time to work with small groups to determine what the protocols and policies are moving forward and to make any corrections that we need. It will also give your children time to get a lot of individual attention as they are learning the new methods throughout the building. So this is our model, 2 days a week, A through K, Monday and Wednesday, L through Z, Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to share with you the schedule for September shortly. When not in school, students will participate by Zoom in their live classes. So they're not going to be just sitting at home doing work in isolation. They will actually be a part of the class, collaborating with their peers and also getting direct instruction from their teacher. And this is a look at the schedule for September of remote learning. Because we start on a Thursday, we're going to begin with L through Z, which means Friday, students will report to school A through K, and so on and so forth. You can see that there are 2 remote Fridays for students, but then students will report when we're all back on September 29th. Students will all report for half-day sessions on Fridays. So there are 2 remote sessions. Please take a look at that calendar. It is also posted on our website. So what we did, I've had a lot of questions where there'll still be teams, our traditional teams that are designated by color. Yes, there will be teams, but we further divided them into 4 to 5 cohorts, depending on the number of students on the team. These cohorts will remain together in their cohort room for instruction, and that's really depending on the individual team schedule. For example, let's say I'm on the red team. I start out my day with flex. I might have periods 1 and 2 for academic instruction, but then it might be time for me to transition to a special subject. So students will leave their instructional cohort room for specials, lunch, support services, and occasionally for world language. We have really worked hard to limit the number of transitions as well as the number of cross cohorts. However, there were times, given that we have over 1,100 students, that this was impossible. And there will be different safety measures when students are cross-cohorted that we will talk about when we get to the health and safety slide. So keep in mind that teachers will transition to teach their classes rather than the students going to meet their teachers. So our arrival is going to look a little bit different. Students, the building will not be available till students till 7:45. Then they will go in through their marked entrance, grade 6 students through the old building, that's the entrance that's up the stairway, grade 7 students through the cafeteria or bus loop entrance, and grade 8 will use the main or rotunda entrance. In this way, we plan to really limit the crunch upon entering of students. And then once they enter the building, all of the hallways have been designated with arrows and signage of which way students will go. It's a counterclockwise system that I did send out to you and that we will review with students upon their arrival. Dismissal is easier. We will dismiss one team from each grade level. They'll exit at the same time, but they'll go to their respective entrance exit, thus limiting the number of students in the hallway and at the doorways at one time. We are still thinking about the traffic flow in the morning because, as we know during regular school, when y'all arrive at one time, it's a long wait. So you will receive further information from me about that. However, the big change here is that students will not be coming in the morning to receive extra help. They will have to arrive at 7:45, go directly to their flex room. That's a change too. Flex used to be after second period. This is how we'll start the day now with students in a cohort flex, and that's where they will remain. That's also their instructional classroom. So students will be required to wear masks throughout the day. And just if that presents itself as a problem, I will work with that student and parents will be contacted and so on. However, certainly we understand the difficulty that students face in wearing masks. We will have a mask break during each period. We will schedule them so that students will be socially distanced when they are not wearing their masks. It's not like they're going to be just congregating in small groups or anything with their friends. All classrooms have been configured to meet the CDC requirements. Teachers are 6 feet away from students. Desks are 3 feet away from one another, with the exception of cross cohorts where we added some distance in as outlined by the CDC requirements. We've done a lot of adjustments and moving rooms around and really trying to engineer this for the safety and protection of both the staff and the students. And we've worked hard at it because there's nothing that we want more than for students to be safe, but also engaged in their learning. Lunch will be very different than in pre-COVID times. We have 4 lunch sites. The entire grade level will be having lunch at the same time. Each grade level will be assigned a site, or each cohort will be assigned tables at which they will have lunch. I've had a few emails about students selecting within their cohort the students that they sit with. And certainly we are very understanding about students making new friends, meeting new people, having an old friend to bring them some comfort. And we're just not going to randomly assign that. Students will have some voice about who they sit with, but once those seats, it's not like when they used to just change seats and visit with different friends. Those will remain their seats throughout. But I want to assure you that we're not trying to restrict any type of social connection that students make with one another. We understand that they have not been in a school situation in a while, and together with them, we will determine their lunch seatings. So they will be sent to their lunch area. They will sit at their tables within their cohort. If lunch is pre-ordered, and on the next slide, it gives more information about how to pre-order lunch. Lunch will be delivered to their sites. Of course, students can opt to bring their own lunch. Lunch will be followed by silent reading. We will not have different rooms for study hall, and we will not go out for recess. My thinking here was that if students, first of all, it would eliminate some of that screen time. It would provide a substantial time for silent reading, but also students could continue to not wear their masks. They won't be using, obviously, their masks when they're eating, and this would further the mask break a bit. And obviously, they'll not be worn through the whole lunch period. And here are the directions. And again, this will be posted for ordering lunch. This will be done online. Lunch orders can be placed by 7:30 of the day. You can order a week in advance. All the nutrition guidelines of every meal are also included on the site. Payment remains the same, where you deposit money into your student's account, and then the account will be charged accordingly. And there's an email of the head of the lunch service program that is working with us on this. We will try to keep lunch as pleasant as possible, and again, encouraging students to talk. We are not sitting 10 students at a lunch table anymore, but they will be socially distanced as they eat. We will not be using our hallway lockers this year because of social distancing requirements, and also lockers are a favorite place to congregate. Instead, students will be carrying those huge backpacks, the thing that I've fought for years, but now students will put all of their belongings in their backpacks, including their cell phones, which will be powered off, and it will remain with them in their cohort classroom. It will travel with them when they go to specials. I will post school supply lists. I'm meeting with all my grade levels tomorrow, and we will post grade-specific school supply lists on the website. And needless to say, if you have trouble getting any of those supplies, just contact me, and certainly we'll make sure that your student has everything he or she needs for the year. Hand washing, sanitizing stations will be placed throughout the building. If a student becomes ill during the day, of course, he or she will report to the nurse, and if the nurse deems it necessary, that child will be isolated into a separate room that we have designated for that. The building will be cleaned each day, and we've included here the website for the district cleaning plan. All right, that's kind of it in a nutshell. There's more information on the sheet the info sheet that I sent home to you. If indeed you need that resent, just shoot me an email and I'll be happy to mail it out to you again. And now, with the help of Dana, I will try to answer your questions. Oh, geez, I think I need my glasses for this. The chances that we have to socialize. So we're starting each day with flex. Our huge emphasis this year is going to be on social emotional learning during that flex period. An interesting challenge, and something that I'm really anticipating and looking forward to, is how to not only encourage children to make those connections in real time, but to be able to collaborate with one another virtually, so that the students who are remote and who are in school can work together on projects and things like that. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of social times, as we're not passing in classes, and certainly the students will be talking with one another during lunch.
Could I ask, Mrs. Summers, could I just ask, please, Dana, if you wouldn't mind, please, as you read the question, read it, who is it from, and just say the question out loud for everyone.
Okay, give us a minute.
Thank you very much.
The first one or the next one? Jill, I'm sorry, and I'm going to apologize in advance if I say your name incorrectly. Jill Savarine, and the question is, I feel like when will parents receive instructions for students who will not be in person / hybrid, but will be fully remote? I think I need to be more clear about this. We do not have a virtual school opportunity set up for students. Instead, students who opt out of coming to school at all will access their teachers via Zoom and participate in the classes that were regularly scheduled for them. It's not any different than those students who will be on the off days, what they will be doing during the hybrid model. So again, if a student is fully remote, that remoteness will be them accessing the live teaching and collaboration that occurs in the classroom on their daily schedule. There is no separate platform for us for internet learning or any kind of virtual school. Okay, next.
Email address, respect29.
From the email address, respect29, how will social distancing be accomplished during mask-free time? So the way that we have during hybrid time, it will be easier to get students used to having their masks off, but still remaining where they are. What we are going to do is an every other row system so that there are no students adjacent to one another that are unmasked, but rather it will be spread out. At the lunch table, also students, we've cut in half the number of students at a table. Thus, they will maintain that required social distance during that time. Next, from Rebecca Mardarella, will there be a chance for new grade 6 students to come in for a building orientation? We will not be holding any live orientations this year. As we speak, our counselors and our SEL committee are working on videos to orient students with the building. We have designated those first 2 days of school as orientation days, and we will make sure that students have a chance for not only finding their way around the building, but also for some team building, relationship building with peers, as well as with adults. This is another question. Same person. How will you manage the traffic at drop-off and pickup? Are you suggesting that I manage it so well during the regular school year? I think that I need to ask an assist from you, and that I will try to schedule them. I have not yet gotten to that, but I will certainly try to make a schedule. I can use as an example the 8th grade parents from last year at the parade. I designated times for them to drive through, and they did it perfectly. So I know that if we work together, we can nail this traffic problem without tying up the entire town. More information will follow. I do want to consult with the police on that. Next, Ying Stafford, will desks for students be 3 feet or 6 feet apart? Will there be plastic partitions between desks? The desks in the classrooms in the academic rooms are 3 feet apart. The teacher is 6 feet distant from the students. I've been calling it their teaching zone. So they're all across the front of the classroom. We do not have plastic partitions between desks. However, we have them to be installed at all tables. When students have to cross cohort, that 3-foot distance is increased. From Karen Cummins, how will science class work if kids are not in a science room with appropriate equipment and safety gear? Our science rooms are happening in the science classroom. We have, again, worked really hard for the most part to have them in there so that they could have that equipment. For those that can't meet in the science rooms, teachers will be provided with a cart, and equipment will travel with them. Now, we do know that students cannot share equipment, so the nature of our labs will change, and teachers are working on that piece of curriculum so that students can experience a lab situation without having to share any kind of manipulative items. Oh, a second question. How will students who are live streaming ask questions or receive help? So I've talked with my team leaders about how we're going to structure and look at our lesson planning times so that the students can all be acknowledged as they have questions. I don't think this is going to be a huge problem. So our typical classrooms or lesson plan starts with a mini lesson, guided practice, individual practice, and so on and so forth. And during both those guided practice times and the individual work times is when teachers generally will take questions. And this shouldn't change at all, whether a student is, the teacher will have access to her screen to see who does have questions. And I'm sure one of the things we're going to work on during orientation is just that. If I have a question and I'm remote, how do I get the teacher's attention? And we're going to work at that as a school so that we have the answer for students and so that they can be properly oriented to that situation. Liz Coons, on orientation days, are students who are not in person on either 9-3 or 9-4 are supposed to live stream into class? 9-3 is L through Z, and 9-4 is A through K. So there's no live, that will not be live, they won't be live streaming that day because it will be orientation. Nicholas Lavarge, will there still be, what is that? Homework sessions after school? So I'm putting out there with my staff that we would like to continue to run our academic center virtually. And we are trying to figure out how this would look and how students would log in. I tried to think of a way to do it in the building, and it just can't happen because there would be too much cross-cohorting. So the best possible solution is to offer that virtually. And we will send that information out as soon as I line up the advisors and the teachers who are going to be participating in that. Carolyn Hurst, when will children be outside during the day? There will be some instruction that will happen outside. We've made an alternative teaching/learning space in the courtyard of the library. And when we're going to designate other areas for teaching and learning that teachers will sign up for with their individual classes. However, we will not have a recess break during the day. Rebecca Martorello, what are the plans for art, PE, and music? Art and PE will continue as they always have. PE will be outside till, usually we're outside until Thanksgiving, weather permitting. We will continue that. We do have an instructional space for inclement weather. Art will continue to happen. Some classes will meet in the art room, just like science, and some classes will meet in other classrooms. The art teachers will provide individual materials to students. Music is a little bit different because of the nature of choral and band, chorus and band. We will instead replace them with a general music class with small group lessons continuing. So band lessons will continue, and I'm working with Kim Sadler, our choral person, to determine how she could meet with small groups of students that could remain socially distanced while they sing. It's impossible in our space to have chorus. So students in those, and like guitar, and we can't share guitars and any kinds of equipment. So we have a course called Music First. What's the name of our music? Music First, in which students will participate. Okay. Catherine Friend. How many hours of homework will a student be expected to receive now that there's no study hall. I haven't talked this over with my teachers. We used to have the 60, 70, 80 rules, now 1 hour, 6th grade, 70 minutes for 7th and 80 minutes for 8th. And that is what we'll probably continue with that. Teams and the same person has asked, when will teams and cohorts be distributed? August 27th, we will share schedules with parents and students. Jason Beckett. How are we going to keep some students from excelling and some from being held back? That would be the same mix as any classroom that we have and in any subject area. Students differentiate instruction to meet kids at their level and then to advance them. We didn't group students on any ability level. It was the same way we always do, randomly. Next. Hang on. Guys.
Oh, this is
From Beth Regan Jacobs. Well, can a student switch math levels if they have been inappropriately placed? As always, we will work with you and the head of the department to make sure that students are in the appropriate class so those switches indeed can be made. Tim Galvin. Will lessons be recorded so that students can watch them at their own time? This is something we really haven't addressed with our teachers. There will be things posted for them to revisit. The slideshows or any of the materials will be posted on their Google Classroom for them to revisit. But we have not really talked with our departments regarding posting of the live classes yet. Same person. The question was, is there any opportunity for students to arrive earlier at the building? So the reason that we can't open the doors earlier, we used to send kids by grade level, either to the library, the cafeteria, the small gym, some students who are receiving extra help. We cannot have that cross-cohorting in those large groups congregate in any of those areas. We have to be certain that all of our teachers have arrived and are there for students. Thus, the 7:45 arrival time is sort of a hard line. Robin Nelson. Idea is going to be scheduled by team, and yes, they can still have lunch on their off idea days. Jen Osborne. Will students have a snack break? No, students will not have a snack break. We never really had snack breaks. Lunch is at the same time for each grade level as it's always been, actually. Since everyone's eating at the same time, everybody gets to eat a little bit earlier. So, but no snack breaks for many reasons.
Also from Jen Osborne, can they have a water bottle at their desk?
Absolutely. Students are encouraged to hydrate throughout the day.
What if student needs to be picked up early?
Okay, so this is a topic that just came up yesterday. I am sending out new information about that. I don't think I sent it out yet. We used to have students bring a note to the main office, but in order to avoid that traffic, we will set up a place for you to email the name of the student and the time of pickup, and we will call the student out of class in order to catch their ride.
From Godfrey Dillon
I am more than happy to work with any parent in any decisions you make at any time. I would just request a bit of notice so we can let the teachers know, so that if there were any kind of materials, books, whatever, they can be prepared for your student to resume live teaching, but 100%.
From Lisa Fitzpatrick, will co-teachers remain in the classroom?
Yes, there's definitely still co-teaching, and we have a time set aside for our co-teachers to do a lot of planning prior to the beginning of school.
Kimberly Young, will there be staff assigned to specifically help with technology issues? What is being done to ensure sufficient bandwidth to avoid frozen screens at home, I would assume?
We will have, as always, we have set up in our media center a tech person in order to troubleshoot student issues with Chromebooks. That will continue, though the system to get the Chromebook there is not going to be as casual as it was before, where a kid just went down to the library and they worked it out. The bandwidth is, I'm assured that we will be able to move forward here at school to accommodate all of our teachers and their Zoom and the kids on computers.
Shelley, if Dana's going to raise a question, the parents are going to need to hear it, because at least I can't hear it if she's reading it right now.
We're going to try our third system here, so
Okay.
hopefully the third one is the chime. Philippa Holland, can I expand on how the classic MMS teams will work in this scenario? We still have teams. Your cohort is part of a team. Right now, we will do team building digitally so that they are part of a larger team. The cohorts will work together, and we will provide as many virtual opportunities as we can for students to meet and get to know students in other cohorts. You know, this is a new experience for all of our teachers, and I have asked them to think outside the box, because the most important thing to us, aside from student learning, is your students being happy, if happiness can be achieved in middle school. But we will figure it out. We will figure out how to connect them and how to keep them connected and how not to impede any kind of social connections that they might need. It will be difficult, but we will work through it. I have been in constant contact with my staff, and we really do understand how strange and scary this must be for your students. And it is our primary concern is just this social piece. It's a lot easier to figure out how to deliver lessons and how to advance learning in our students. The social piece is something we will continue to work on, and we'll work on it together. And I've said this a million times, if any school can do it, Middlesex can. And our teachers are dedicated and devoted to making your kids happy here. Robin Nelson, if students would like to do their homework on their Chromebooks after lunch instead of reading silently, will they be able to do that? Well, Robin, in thinking about this and about the number of hours that students are spending on screens was the reason that we went to silent reading. We used to do silent reading 2 times a week during Flex. And that's going to change for a while as we work on social and emotional things and create an environment in which students can discuss their feelings and discuss some of the things that are going on in our world. So I would like to start with the silent reading piece, and then we will make adjustments if we feel that it's appropriate. About the homework, we're happy to work with our families during this time if homework gets to be a burden for students. Certainly that's not the point of it. I remember those days well of my kids coming home and freaking out about homework. We don't want that to happen. So again, I just ask that we continue to communicate about this. And if it gets too much, then we'll work with you and we'll work with the entire student body and parent group to make adjustments in that. David Fitzpatrick, are there any processes, orientations, or buddy assistances for new students that have never attended the school? and how will it work? Work in progress here. We do have a number of new students. We haven't set them up with a buddy. It used to be a lot easier because it would be someone in person. And this is something that our counselors will work on to create that virtual relationship and make sure that there is a friendly face in a cohort or in a lunch for that student. From David. On the 2 full Zooming in days, are the students expected to Zoom in the full 40 minutes for all 8 class periods? Again, I've asked teachers to look at their lesson plans and to allow a time for independent, the actual work piece of it. And that is a time that won't be screen time. If the data improves, will the policies around mask lockers, assigned lunch seating open for change, and what metrics would be required for such a policy change? I am happy to say this is above my pay grade. This would be a district decision as well as a CDC decision as we look at the data. Certainly that data and the science impacts all of the decisions that we make regarding your students and their schooling. Ray Hegarty, if a child tests positive for COVID-19 in a specific cohort, are fellow cohort parents informed? We will do contact trace. Hang on one second.
Shelley, we do have Alicia, our Director of Nursing and COVID Compliance Officer, here to help you and assist you with that if you would like to.
Sure, take it away,
Can
Alicia.
you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. If a child tests positive for COVID-19 in a specific cohort, are fellow cohort parents informed?
Yes, because anybody who has come in close contact with that child will be asked to quarantine at home for 14 days. But we will not be making announcements about children that are sent home with potential symptoms. It will be children that are diagnosed with COVID.
Okay, I have the next question is from a student. His initials are NA. I would like to know how PE will work in this environment so that I can prepare for the school year. Thank you for wanting to prepare for the school year. We will continue to have PE. The PE teachers are working on a curriculum that is unfortunately not team sports because we can't share equipment. We'll be doing sports and games out on the field. It will be a lot of individual, for example, track, those kinds of things. And then when we transition, unfortunately, it will be winter again, and we will have to come inside. We will have some interesting and fun activities that will be indoors where you are socially distanced and where you do not share equipment. Janine Bortel, will there be an opportunity for students to come in before or after school for extra help? At this time, all extra help will be virtual. We will be setting up those schedules of office hours with our teachers, and we'll communicate that to you. What's her name? Heather Gallo. When the students are Zoom learning at home, is it really possible for them to be actively involved in the lesson going on in the classroom, participating and asking questions from home? I want to say yes, and I will work to that end, and my teachers will work to that end. It's our responsibility to engage and educate your students, and we will do everything humanly possible to merge those two groups. It might take us implementing a few new strategies, but I'm sure that my teachers will collaborate and talk with one another about the best way to go about this. Is it going to be difficult? Clearly. Again, this is kind of uncharted teaching for our teachers, but I know that, again, they are incredibly professional and incredibly dedicated and will work hard to engage all students at all times.
Shelley, if I may say, this was also just a wee follow-up to the survey that we had and the feedback from parents from last year too, where we can, and I know that the middle school did a lot of live teaching last year, but where we can to expand those live options, and this is an area where we've done that. Thank you.
You know, one of the things that I've asked my teachers to look at, I think we did a good job last year when we had to develop programs sort of in the moment. And now we can take apart that program. We can analyze the things that really worked for students and the things that we really need to tweak a little bit so that all students can successfully master the concepts and skills. And that's what we're going to spend our time doing, improving all that remote learning so that students get as much from it as possible. Kimberly Young, what if the tech problem is while at home? There is, that's a tough one. We do have tech support. We have where you put the ticket in. That website will be available on, it's available all over. It will be on our website as well as the district website so that you can get help. However, let's say your student can't participate for the day. Well, your student will be excused from handing that work in for the day. We are not going to have any kind of punishment or repercussion if work isn't handed in. I will say that last year, the 8th graders seemed to have a lot of tech issues towards the end of the school year. So hopefully we'll be able to avoid those. Michelle Mengwell, can you give an idea of the maximum amount of time or class period that students would be in one room for a stretch before a movement break? We will try to have, so it really depends on the schedule. We do have some transition time, transition to lunch, transition to specials. When we have, but we will set up breaks if kids are going to be in a room for 2 periods, 3 periods at a time. And I guess that's going to, that we're going to have to look at that as teams of teachers to determine what that should look like and how we can best accommodate that movement. Well, this is from Jennifer Dwyer. Will cohorts ever change after Thanksgiving or winter break? No, cohorts will stay the same. From David, do students have to Zoom in for gym period? How about flex? Art and music. I want to address flex first. I think it's really important for students to be a part of the conversation in their flex period. Even those of us who have spoken to our students, for me, my grandchildren, about what's going on in the world, I think the best thing that we can do for students is to give them peers with whom to speak. And we're trying to create environments in our flex room for this social and emotional learning to happen. I think it's really important that they be parts of these conversations and that they feel safe in being able to discuss things, learn about things, see that others feel the same way as they do, and to just participate with their peers in that type of situation. As far as the arts, I don't know, the arts are pretty essential for a well-rounded student. And I think to opt out of Zooming in for those periods students would lose something. Oh, I'm having a lot of repeat questions here, so I'm not ignoring anyone. A lot of them are about how traffic will be handled. I know there'll be no recess time. Students will stay in their class. So most of our recess time, students were really talking in small groups, playing basketball in small groups, playing Foursquare in small groups, or sitting and talking without social distancing. And that's why I feel that at this time, I can't provide a recess environment that can guarantee the safety, the health and safety of all students. As I work with teachers, we can, and as we see the hybrid model first, and then full on in play, maybe some of those decisions about the outside time can be changed, but it would be very difficult at this time for me to put any kind of structure in place that could guarantee the safety of your children. A lot of these others are questions are about Zooming from home. Water bottles, yeah. We are a new family at Middlesex. We have a social, we're doing our best for new kids. You'll get information about that. The rest of the questions that I have are repeat questions that I've tried to answer. Certainly if there is something that I didn't answer, we will include it in the frequently asked questions page. But at this time, I've answered everything that's up there that's not repetitive. Hang on, we'll try one more. Do you have a sense of how many, reduced density in the restrooms? I have thought about the MMS bathrooms all summer and how best to monitor those bathrooms. We will never tell a child they can't go to the bathroom, and how we are going to ensure that it isn't a place where students congregate, because it is a popular congregation spot. We are going to have to work on with teachers. It's very difficult for me to assign like a bathroom duty to a middle school teacher, but we will assign some monitoring of those restrooms so that students won't just be going there because, but that they will be allowed to use the bathroom whenever. So sort of a plan in progress, if you will. From Lisa Fitzpatrick, will there be guidelines for proper attire during online participation? During our orientation, we're going to talk about all of the expectations for online learning, for being present, for showing up, that it is school. And because we're returning to standard grade policy, we're going to certainly emphasize that with our students as well. And hopefully that will encourage their engagement in each class. That's it. How will you administer tests and quizzes with the hybrid model? We are going to try to do that in an in-person when students are physically present for that. So lesson plans will take that into consideration. With full understanding of why you don't have recess and have reduced movement around the building, how are staff planning to manage students who need a certain amount of movement during the day? We're pretty creative. We know when a kid can't sit still anymore. And a lot of middle school teachers are middle school teachers because they can't sit still anymore either. So give us a minute to plan that. Let us see how the traffic flows in the building. Let me see where the free moments are, and we can plan and we can stagger the movement breaks when kids are there for a period or several periods in a row. We will constantly be revising this plan for your student so that they're happy here at school, so that they're safe here at school, and so most importantly, so that they are learning here at school. But I can't answer everything until I actually see it. Once again, that's why I'm happy with this hybrid model, because it will really give us a chance to see children. It's easy to make plans in isolation, but once those children get in the building, it might be a different picture. And I'm just asking you to trust that I will continue to develop a plan that is appropriate for middle schoolers. Once school opens up 5 days a week, how many kids will be in a single cohort classroom at a time? 20. Yeah, just as typical, we never we usually go between 22 and 24 students. So all of our rooms have been configured as though we are full on, as though every student is in, and we will not put more students in a classroom than is acceptable given those guidelines. So that that won't change. That's it, Dr. Adley. Well, nope, we got that one. That's it, Dr. Adley.
Thank you, Shelley. Can I just say to our parents, the size of our middle school makes this a Herculean effort and logistics and planning purposes. And I just want to pay tribute to Shelley and our administrative team, and in fact, the staff in general, teaching staff and support staff. for the tremendous job they've done planning what they're going to be doing. It's just a huge effort for this size of middle school. And listen, I think we're all sort of the disposition, at least we've always been, give the kids the expectations, and they will rise to the expectations. So that's what we're doing through your assistance and partnership and communication over the next couple of weeks. Whatever you can do, whenever you receive our communication of how you can help, both in mask wearing and in practices and discussing what school will look like. We'll take care of them when they get here. But both from the safety practices around town and everything else, what you do at home impacts us in the school. What we do in school will impact you, and both will impact the community. So I think we've got a nice plan to transition back, and with a thoughtful problem solving around the middle school, which is just a huge task to do. But with that, again, I encourage you maybe to take a wee peek at the health and safety video. This video itself will be posted online shortly, and we'll continue to communicate accordingly and regularly with our parent community. So thank you for your contributions today. If there are any lingering questions, we'll certainly post them and get a response back to you. I don't know if any of the central services staff have any other updates. I don't think they do, but I'll just take a wee peek. Seeing none, we'll just sign off for the day. Wish you a good afternoon, and thank you for your time, everyone. Thank you.
See you soon.
Thank you.